Okay, everyone, back for the final session on April 16th, 2021 for the first ever combined virtual Zoom session, Research Symposium Media Day. And session 5 is a session that I strategically placed after the student competition, hoping that maybe some students might linger into it, but the student competition ended a little early. So it didn't quite work out that way, but we're still gonna go through this session and post it on the internet because it's gonna be a benefit and usefulness as an MP4 file for our students and for the faculty to have to show to students as they develop a better understanding and appreciation of scholarships and the art of getting a scholarship, knowing more about the Career Pathways Initiative, which we have been incorporating into all of our courses here at Wiley College, and why we're incorporating them in, and why they're graded events, and also experiential learning. And what exactly the important, why do we even care about experiential learning and the importance of it? I know most of you are saying, oh, some of you are saying, well, we already know the answer to all those questions, Dr. Hedrick. Let's get this over with, it's Friday. But I'm gonna go ahead and go through a few things that I have prepared, and I'm gonna show all of you the resource that is ready for you, because I'm gonna share the screen first. And go to the share screen, and let's go to session 5 right here. And it's Student Opportunities and Career Pathways Initiative. Now, I don't know, Dr. Martha Lopez Coleman is on the road. I didn't know she was. We might make some presentations on her behalf, but I know Dr. Ray Lundy is here and Dr. Muhammad is here. And I am the scholarship representative. So I will first do the scholarships, very briefly go over what's here in the scholarships, and I will turn it over to Dr. Lundy first and Dr. Muhammad after that. The scholarships right now, what we have at Wiley College and what we tell our students, and that's a Career Pathways, excuse me. What we have here at Wiley College, is it that one? No, it's not that one. Probably this one, not that one. Too many screens open at the same time. It's not that one either. That's a Google Drive. This is telling you how complicated. Oh, it's the one down here, of course. It's always the last one that I look at. The UNCF Koch Foundation has a scholarship that I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of, because we've been having problems trying to get students to even apply for it. It's $5,000 a year, and you just have to keep a minimum GPA. I believe the minimum GPA is 3.0, and yeah, it's renewable for 4 years. And this is specifically designed for freshmen. And so any of the students that are freshmen, point them toward this. This is, and reason why I'm bringing it up and putting it in this session as well, and putting it out there and making it available through the MP4 file, is so that we can share this video with our advisees and share this, and most importantly, with the Summer Bridge program. Because the Summer Bridge program is going to be the students who are going to be the top recruits. As they're coming in, we're going to say, hey, do we have a gift for you? We have something for you to show you to do. And we're supposed to get up to 5 students. 5 students at Wiley College they said they're gonna, that the foundation said they're gonna make it available for us. So that is the scholar program there. And the other thing that was available on the site that I put up there was, of course, the the UNCF scholarships in general, all you have to do is do a Google search, and there's a whole page here in applying for scholarships, and apply for a scholarship and a bunch of them will come up. Just be aware that UNCF organization and scholarships, and there's a link in the session 5 that this is there for you, for the faculty and for the students alike. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that it's there. The Career Pathways Initiative, let's go to that now. The Career Pathways Initiative, I don't want to be the only one chiming in about this, but the Career Pathways Initiative, and why do we bother to have it, is because we got a grant and we're getting money for it from the UNCF people. It's a Career Pathways Initiative right here, and the link is there on the session 5. And so I just want to throw this out there to help you to understand and help to make sure that the students understand, why are they always talking about Career Pathways Initiative? And what's the purpose of Career Pathways Initiative? Well, the Career Pathways Initiative wasn't something that we came up with. Actually, this is something that UNCF came up with to help HBCU students and to help the four-year HBCUs strengthen their institutional career placement outcomes, with the goal of increasing the number of graduates who immediately transition to, most importantly, meaningful jobs in their chosen fields. Because what we've been finding in more recent years is that a lot of the people, a lot of the graduates that are coming out there aren't getting jobs in their fields. They're having to go elsewhere because, and get whatever they can, because it isn't there for them. And an example of how this is applied, how do we apply this in the different programs? I just put up there the Mass Communications Guided Pathway here, where I was challenged to do this last year, and to come up with curriculum, career, community, and experience, and how I'm supposed to be helping the students out, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, to get to the perpetuated pathway, and that when they're alumni, that maybe they'll get something and get placement in their field. And that'll be the outcome here. This is curriculum is all up there, and career is up there. I will post this up on session 5 too. Community and experience, it just gives you, students and faculty alike, the example of how we need to be thinking and what we need to be thinking about in this day and age, as the competition for jobs in the job market has become so fierce that we really need to be stressing the importance of being a specialist and stress the importance of having experience. And that leads right into the third thing that I'm talking about, which is Career Pathways Initiative relies heavily on experiential learning. And what is experiential learning? It's kind of, anybody want to take a shot at this besides myself? What is experiential learning?
When you're in the job, when you're in your field and you're getting the experience on the go, you can add that to, your skill set as experience in your field.
Yes, it's a form of learning, development, and change that's in your field that's more practically oriented.
Right, internships.
Hands-on. And we've been, Wiley College has been very much dedicated towards integrating more experiential learning into our courses.
Right.
And one of the things that reminds us to do that is the Career Pathways Initiative. So that's how those two are intertwined or interact, so to speak. And I just want to point that out to all of you, and remember that's all here on the page. And the Experiential Learning Institute Career Pathways Initiative and the scholarship. Now I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Dr. Lundy first, and then Dr. Bahamed, for them to both talk about it, because I don't want to be the only voice talking about this and the importance of it.
All right, thanks, Dr. Hedrick. The idea of experiential learning, I think, is an excellent one in terms of meeting people's different learning styles and making sure people are prepared for the career force. And one way that student health counseling and wellness really tries to model and encourage that is through our wellness ambassadorship and wellness interns. And so this semester, we offer wellness intern opportunities for any person who knows they want to go into the helping field or wants to be a counselor or wants to work in a field where mental health or the social sciences is important. So we do have 2 students this semester for whom they are required to have an interview with Ms. Sharp. They are required to have a resume which indicated their interest in the helping field. We have also been working on 3 projects which are similar to types of projects that they would work on if they were in the counseling center, in a counseling center setting. And so one of those, Delisha Paul, she will be doing the 3rd of her final project, which is an outreach presentation. So a lot of what we do in the counseling center is about education, health education, wellness education. So she'll be doing her wellness and health education presentation this evening at 6 p.m. And but all of that goal is for the students in the office to know what it is to be supportive. They learn soft skills. Dr. Muhammad, I know you talk a lot about that. We have weekly meetings. They come to staff meetings with the staff in student health counseling and wellness, so they kind of hear that process. So they become an integrated part of our family. And were we in a normal, of course we put that in quotes, a normal semester, they would come to classrooms with me. So one of the things I do is I speak in the first year studies classes, and that would be something that the students would be able to do as well. Just kind of seeing all aspects of what it is to work in this field, except for one-on-one counseling, because of course that's confidential. But they did get some training on what we call peer support or peer counseling. And so we learned how to notice if someone is in distress, notice if someone is in need of support, and then how to facilitate a conversation. So the experiential learning piece is all that internship opportunity is about. And if someone doesn't become a wellness intern, then they can be a wellness ambassador. And actually, I got a call this morning from UNCF looking to support peer counseling and wellness ambassador programs. And so Wiley will hopefully be getting some funding for our peer. Yeah, I got a call this morning from UNCF. So hopefully we'll be able to have more interns. Before we were able to officially do the intern, because this semester's internship came with $500. But before that, we worked with the sociology department and their practicum students, or the externship that they have to do at the end of their sociology degree. Students would spend their semester here. And the only difference with that we didn't do this semester is they also worked on their curriculum vitae. And so I'm really big on helping my students if they want to get into grad school. So that is one element that I would say this semester we didn't focus on as much, but in the past when we've had sociology students, we've definitely worked on identifying what grad schools they want to go to. And we worked on looking at their CVs to make sure that all of their learned experiences were articulated well on that curriculum vitae. And so yeah, I'm glad to be here. Hopefully that was helpful to see kind of what the experiential learning piece is like in our office, and happy to answer any questions at the end.
Oh, thank you. And you're bringing up a couple things that I wanted to stress in this session too. Guess what? Because we're opening the campus back up, and in the fall, students, take heed of this, take note of this, we will have a return of federal work study and federal work study monies. And internships, I have one of my students doing an internship with the Office of Public Relations right now. And he's doing that from a distance, but that is another example of a practical learning experience there. And Dr. Muhammad, can you add anything to what we said? Sorry if I took the thunder from you. You need to unmute.
Okay, here we go. Okay, thank you. I think most of the important points have been covered, but I want to emphasize the animating idea of CPI, Career Pathway Initiatives. And the question with what the initial question or the animating or motivating idea to it was how to help students get employed in the particular fields or majors that they spent so many years or so much time in. And that's because it addresses a larger question of higher education and a college degree to get today. And that question is, why is it that so many individuals who have college degrees, especially undergrad degrees, are not working in their fields? So the question or the need or that question was being addressed in this career pathway trajectory, okay? And so there are various points, and one of the points was just develop the soft skills and professional development. Another point was the experiential learning and the internships. We talked about that. Another point was for students to understand what opportunities are available in their particular major. You have a lot of students who graduate and they don't understand the unique careers and pathways that their degree could lead them in. And so that's part of it. Another part of this career pathway initiative was that every professor is supposed to include a CPI activity in the classroom. And that is to give the student a taste of what it's like in that profession. And that's required in the course syllabi, it's required in the classroom. I know in terms of history, what I have students do is I have them get a taste of being a historian. And that is they interview somebody who is at least 20 years older than them. And that person serves as a primary source. And that's one of the ways that we collect information as historians from individuals who have valuable or invaluable experiences that generations, the newborn or newer generations don't know about. And so they are required, the students are required to extract the information, and that's what historians do. That's what I do in the classroom. I have other projects too, but that's just part of it. So the idea of the CPI is to make students aware of the opportunities in 5 years. I know that one of the things that I was challenged to do when I was the chair of the history department was develop a timeline over 20 years in terms of where and what opportunities the history major could have over those 20 years and different directions the degree could take the student in. So that was part of this pathway and development over time. It's an awareness of skills and it's an awareness of how to use the degree to be an employee or an employer. That's another thing that I think students should know. It's not just about getting a job, because in many instances, the jobs may not be there. And it's about learning how to create a job if you can't find a job. It's like asking this question: what is the value of the acquired tool set or set of tools or skill set that one would have as a result of earning that particular degree? If there's no job there, then how can you use those skills to develop a salary for yourself, a professional in your chosen profession? Because I know that, and this is my last point, I know that it can be very discouraging and problematic to have degrees and not know how to use them. You have a large portion of people today with college degrees and they are unemployed. The question is what to do with a degree and how to make that degree work and how to use that skill set. And that's part of what CPI is about. Learning that before they graduate. How can you use your tool, your degree, and your skill set to build the life that you want based on your talents, gifts, and based on your experiences as an undergraduate student. That matriculation is valuable and they have valuable or invaluable, and they have to know how to use it, especially with this changing economy and the changing, forever changing technology. Thank you.
Yes. Emphasis on technology from the Technophile. Okay. The other thing I will chime in with really quickly to piggyback on that is that the CPI, the Career Pathways Initiative, and the QEP we have a Quality Enhancement Program here at Wiley College, are both designed, among other things, to help you, the students, and the faculty develop a better appreciation and better skills that where critical thinking is concerned. That you need to be able to identify and be very purposeful and identify and then analyze things and be very purposeful and strategic in the way you do things. And if you are that way, you will increase your likelihood of success. And that's one of the things that students oftentimes kind of take for granted. And so that's one of soft skill, hard skill, critical thinking is definitely up there. And I noticed that Dr. Carol Hicks is in here, and she's in charge of Director of General Studies, and also in charge of the Honors College. Do you want to talk for a minute?
Sorry, I had to find the unmute button. Especially in education, we're very targeted with the career initiative, because I mean, the ultimate goal in education is to, get a teaching job and be able to pass your certification test. As chair of general studies, my task is basically to look and see, and basically I do it through syllabi review, I'll be honest, that the CPI is addressed in every general education course. And so often that may involve just something what many people would consider simple, like creating a resume and creating the LinkedIn accounts. But then, specific courses, like I'll pick on history, will have special projects that really do revolve around, if I were to be a history major, what kind of activities would I be doing? And so, things vary according to the subjects that are being taught. And then, as I was listening to Dr. Lundy and Dr. Muhammad talk, especially since I'm also chair of interdisciplinary studies, and the students that come into that program often have left a major area, like let's say they've left sociology or English or criminal justice because they want to go a different route. And so trying to help them find where they're going to go next is often a challenge, and trying to encourage people to get internships has become a real problem, because a lot of times when people want to do internships, they want to do it back home in Houston or Dallas. And so when they want to graduate, they want to go often back home, and sometimes the jobs aren't back home, but they're in other places. For example, I have a pipeline out to school district outside Sacramento that actually wants interdisciplinary majors who haven't really taken any education courses, but are interested in becoming teachers. And, you know, finding the courage to actually leave the state becomes, you know, for some people a real challenge. And so the Career Pathways Initiative actually helps students if they can kind of see the benefit. And I think that's where we maybe are weak in on that side of the house, of showing, you know, why this is important. I think as professors, sometimes we don't do a good enough job on that. We're worried about our own major, but we don't really, and we're worried about the course we're teaching, but sometimes I don't think we really hit all the skills like we should, like especially the soft skills and providing professional development outside of class. I don't think we're doing a really good job yet on that. And so, you know, that allows us still to expand. And so I'll stop there at the idea that, you know, there's still work for professors to do on this as we move back into face-to-face. And even if we don't move back into face-to-face, there's still work that we can do online to help our students as they prepare for careers. So thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Yes, I will agree with you. In the interdisciplinary studies, I found that oftentimes some of the students who end up migrating to that just do so because they discovered later on that that major that they've chosen is not their cup of tea, that they just don't like it, and they have so many units. And it's just the interdisciplinary becomes one of the ways that we can hopefully get them, assist them, let's put it this way, assist them and to completing a degree and getting out after they have made the mistake or made the error of choosing the wrong major, perhaps. And
Yeah, I would say it's not, how do I say this? You know, for many people, you know, as you come into something, you know, like I use me as an example all the time. I had to kind of deal with my mom as an undergraduate that in order to major in theater, that I would get an education degree as a backup so that if something went wrong, I could always go teach. And what I found my senior year of college was that was the year I started to starve. I really had no food. And so for me, I decided that I didn't want to go to New York or LA and starve anymore. And so I got serious about, you know, going into teaching after, you know, I'd spent that year of starvation. And so for me, it was a very practical reason. And from that point on, I've never really had a trajectory in my career that was, how do I say, you know, I went into private industry and was teaching in private industry. And then I went into public school settings. So I've been able to use an education/theater degree in a lot of different careers. Even in the US Navy, I was using my education background in the reserves to be the education head person for our unit. And so I was doing, you know, the general military training for our unit and setting up speakers and whatever. So I've always been able to use the skills that I got as an undergraduate all through life. And like I said, you know, it was never a normal, you know, you'd think that, okay, she majored in theater, so she'll go on and do Broadway stuff. And I never followed that trajectory. And it all came back because of something that happened my senior year. And so I've been able to use those skills, though, through every job. And so that's what's nice about interdisciplinary, that even if you change your major at the last moment and you want to go interdisciplinary, we're going to try to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life, you know, because a lot of people want to set up daycares. And so I'll help you, you know, find business classes and mesh it into your degree. But sometimes it's just that you have to get out there in the workplace and you realize I spent 4 years as a business major and I don't like working for somebody else, but I want to work for my own self. And hopefully here at Wiley, we give you those skills through the Career Pathway Initiative that you can change from, being the manager of Walmart, making say $5,000 a year, to owning your own company and being a supplier for Walmart. And so that's, again, an advantage with career pathways, that we give you those soft skills and those hard skills, hopefully, to help you be able to make those transitions in your life. So thank you for giving me that chance.
Yeah, I want to make one more point here. I know with regard to CPI, one of the questions I ask students in my class, no matter what major they have chosen, is, are you willing to move if the opportunity is not local based on the major you've chosen? And it starts the wheels to turn in their minds that if I major in this, then, and the opportunity is across the country, am I willing to do that in order to use my degree and do what I've been trained to do, or what my education suggests? Okay, I always throw that question out there. Another thing about CPI that helps the student as well is, you ask children, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's all imaginative. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be this. But in college, you had the student is challenged to think realistically as well. And so the question is, in this internship or this experiential learning, is this something you really want to do? Because it's more than the imagination once the student gets the experience. I've heard of many cases where you have individuals and students who say, I want to be a medical doctor. And you send them to an internship to a hospital while in undergrad, and they cannot handle the sight of blood. And right away they change, because that internship or experiential learning is more than a notion. It's more than an imaginative idea from childhood. This is something you have to commit your life to. This is something that you'll be doing every day. And you need to choose something that meshes with who you are and what you like, because you're going to spend a lot of time in this and you don't want to waste your time. So in many respects, I have those types of conversations with students, and it's right in accord with CPI and being realistic about majors, being realistic about career objectives, and be realistic about talent, development, personal development, and skill set. That experience will cause someone, and that's one thing I don't tell students, what they cannot do and what they cannot be. They'll have to get the life experience to make those choices. But sometimes I say to students when they are just gung-ho, if you will, about being a professional athlete, look, you should have a backup plan because there's only a small percentage of the population who is a professional basketball player or an NFL player. And you have a lot of young people who spend a lot of time in sports, and they still have that ideal in college. And the idea is to let them keep that dream if they want it, but they need to do something else that's realistic as a second choice. And that's part of CPI, encouraging students to think beyond their concentric perspective. There's more out there in the world, and you need to see and get some type of experience. Because once this is over, it's real life. It's not just ideas, especially for the traditional college age student, it's more to it. Let me stop right here. I see the cue.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you that we have the same thing going on in mass communication. I have the students all the time that tell me, oh, I want to be the news the anchor, or I want to have my own show and everything, and I said, yeah, that everybody doesn't get that. Those are precious. And that's something that you better have a backup plan or a plan B and be ready to, instead of having your own show, to be an editor behind the scenes, a video editor or a tech person behind the scenes or something, or a promoter behind the scenes, because you're going to need to get your foot in the door before you even have even the slightest chance of getting to what you really want. And I have to tell my students that. Now I see that Dr. Jacques is in here from criminal justice. Do you want to say anything about that area in your field?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for organizing this symposium. I've been following all the CPI and other discussions from Dr. Lundy through Dr. Carol Hicks and Dr. Dean Mohammed. In the area of criminal justice, actually, we have some log that there are a lot of professions in the criminal justice field, and most often all our students, generally those who work hard and want to work, will always find a job in the criminal justice field, because there are just across the board, there are a lot of professions, even in local areas. And so most often our students will find something to do. Some go to law schools, we have some in law school and some in other graduate programs. But the beauty of criminal justice is that there is always, you want to work, be a prison guard, you want to get into law enforcement. Generally, what would hold some back may be their history, maybe criminal or some other things, but generally the careers are just a plethora of them, and most of our students generally will be able to find something to do. Or they go to graduate schools, they don't really like have a real professional thing, except they have something secondary that is pulling them back. Otherwise, the criminal justice is just so open and wide. It's a gigantic, from the local to the state to federal. They always have those openings. Police officers, every department need people. Only other things can stop our students from getting into those professions, but generally they are available. Thank you all, and I really followed Dr. Hicks, and I saw her emotions with issues with relating to interdisciplinary. Most of our students get into the interdisciplinary program, and I associate with her how she was giving her own history. You know, many students have other issues that help them or draw their directions, and issues in life can change their directives as to where they are heading to, and they end up maybe elsewhere. But we try to give them the tools. We just show them the professions and tell them, with the criminal justice system, your record really matters if you want to get into any government agencies. And most of the professions are in the government portfolio.
Yes.
I
agree entirely with what you're saying, but criminal justice, I know one of the reasons why. It's the same way with people. A lot of people who say, "I want to be an attorney."
Yeah.
But when they get to realize, wait a second, I'm going to have to try to get this guy out, even though I know he's guilty. Yeah. And I'm going to have to do that, and this isn't for me, and they leave it. Just because of things they didn't think about.
That's right.
And I will
agree. For the opportunity.
Yeah, save for nursing and education, criminal justice is arguably one of the most lucrative areas for future growth and sustainability that we have around. And the problem with education is they don't pay the teachers enough. But yeah, and I see Dr. Harris, you're in this session. Do you want to chime in and say anything about the practicalities of maybe learning Spanish?
I just hop in. I'm sorry, I was in a Zoom conference with my how we can say with my dissertation chair and another professor from Texas A&M, and a student in the doctorate, and they are working on an OER project for Spanish. And they invite me as a consultant, and maybe we were talking about possibilities there. But they have already a textbook there for Spanish on online, completely free. And the project is a very, very interesting, how to incorporate Afro-Latinos culture in these courses, Spanish courses. Yeah. So I was there and I just finished and I said, let me go to
That's
Dr.
all right.
Hedrick's events. I can miss them.
Now we have 2 students. I think we have a couple students in this session, but I wish we could have more. Do any of you have any questions that you would like to ask anybody about courses and course offerings perhaps? And why don't we offer more of that, or why isn't that available?
My main question in regards, just kind of, I'm thinking about myself and my journey and where I am now, as far as mass communications is concerned. What resources are available? I know when I was at another school, they did have like a studio and some what they called lifetime job placement opportunities that's set, but that opportunity is no longer there. What does Wiley have in regards to, giving students that are, who want to be aspiring, voiceover or personalities, work in the fields? I know you were saying that there was a radio station there on site, but is there a studio? Are there other resources outside of Wiley that we can utilize that you all are partnered with, so that we'll have, that encompass with what we're already learning as far as the CPI, in addition to, polishing up on audio or having that available?
Well, as far as outside of Wiley and everything else with radio and everything, we have a very good relationship with KMHT radio, but the problem is with COVID-19, that kind of turned it all down to a halt and a stop. We had an internship, possible internship to send them there and stuff like that. But with COVID-19, that all got dialed back as far as that goes. With our own radio station here on the campus, the problem is they furloughed the person who was in charge of it because there weren't any students around. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna, for there to be experiential learning and other experiences there, we're gonna have to wait until the students are back, and so that person is back there in charge of the station to see what happens there.
Okay.
Those are the only really 2 that I could answer for you there. If anybody else, I got Dr. Lundy, you want to say something for in place of I know she couldn't come, the head of career services, Kendra Sharp, because she's trying to get her PhD.
She is, yes, get that PhD.
Yeah.
I don't, in terms of her efforts to do placements for students, and I know I heard Lydia's question. Yeah, I would say, I can't speak for Ms. Sharp other than to say I know she does a great job of connecting with those employers in our area. And then if she's not connected with a particular employer, in terms of like Lydia or another student that might come in an area that we haven't had experience with in the past, what she will do is help a student identify contacts or work with you to identify a placement or an opportunity that will meet your need. So I would say Lydia or any other student who's looking for that kind of opportunity, Ms. Sharp is a great resource, and emailing her sooner rather than later so that you can let her know. And there's also another role in that office, the internship coordinator. Right now, Ms. Sharp is holding 2 jobs, but the internship coordinator, that person's role is to make sure students are placed in that experiential and internship learning opportunity. And so I think that's a great resource. Again, the students that have even worked with our office are working with her in terms of interviewing skills. And so I would encourage students to make sure that they're reaching out.
Definitely will.
Additionally, there's, say that again. I'm sorry, Lydia. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Just saying thank you. I definitely will reach out to her. I'm
Do you
gonna follow.
need you got the email address and everything?
I see it here on the
Okay.
Wiley, but
Awesome.
I'm gonna follow her up, try to find them on everybody on LinkedIn too.
Yes, that's a good, that's a very good strategy, but I know she would love to hear from you and help you in any way that she can.
Definitely.
Okay, does anybody else have anything else, or perhaps we could end this session early and have a great weekend coming up? Okay, let's go ahead and end this session. And I want to thank everybody who came in and participated in the session, and have a great weekend, everybody. As we always say, and I always tell my students, go forth inspired, glorious deeds to do.
This was wonderful. Thanks, Dr. Hedrick, and all those who coordinated it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You take care.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Okay, thanks.
You too.
Thanks you guys for all being here. And have a great weekend.
You too.